That's me done now, I'm home. Getting warm with a brew and a biscuit. My fingers are frozen. I've just got in, it's fleeing out there. On my way home, I was just thinking how our heritage is disappearing. All backstreet pubs and greasy cafes, they've all gone now. Replaced with eateries, bistros and micro pubs wherever they are. Everything's changed now since I were a child. Sunday dinners. We'd all get round table and have a meal. Chatting together. Having a laugh and a joke. Sundays were good. That's when everybody come together to eat. We never had a chicken or out like that. Couldn't afford one. And anyway, you had to order it about 2 weeks early. But my gran always made a tater pie, or a cow eel pie, or some kind of pie. Or there were a stew she might make, out at week's leftovers. Naught got wasted in our house, couldn't afford it to. She worked hard, my gran. She deserved a Sunday. But I'll tell you what, like clockwork, when we finished eating, my granddad would always say, "Right, that's it now, me fed and watered. I'm going in front room now for a kip, and woe betide anybody who makes any noise," and he'd be off in front room. Now our front room always smelt of windoline. She were in there morning till night, scrubbing and polishing, my gran, in case anybody come. Nobody ever come though. We might have had 1 or 2 guests that come. But she always kept it nice. Oh, you couldn't go in there and put your feet up and watch telly. Oh no, we had kitchen for that. But everything were polished and sparkling. There only my granddad allowed in there to have a kip. We had a living kitchen. We're a back-to-back terrace, mind, but it seemed like another living room to me. It had a Belfast sink. You know, one of them big square pot things. Multi-purpose it were. She'd scrub all pans, wash all clothes. I think she even bathed me as a babby in that. But I were mesmerised when she used to be washing. She'd be scrubbing till her fingers were red raw. And then she'd wring everything out behind and hang it up on rack. Rack used pull down from ceiling on a pulley type thing. And she'd hang everything on there and wind it right back up to the ceiling. Looked like hard work to me. It were a right big long thing, rack. But everybody had one. And there were always somebody coming in the kitchen, popping by for a drink and a fatty cake. The kettle were always on. You'd always hear it whistling. Could hear it at top of the street from our house. She liked a good gossip, my gran. I were brought up mostly with my gran. My dad were a single parent. We were a working class family and he had work keep us. But I were my gran most at time. So it were like home to me, my gran's house. Whoever come by always give me 6pence and they always say, "Oh, that poor child." I don't know why they said that. I had a good time. I were rich by the time they'd finished. But as I said, she liked a good gossip, my gran. She were always gossiping about such a body who oozed it up street. And we lived next door to a bloke called Cobden and his wife. She were a good friend of my gran's wife. While Cobden were a bugger. Oh aye, you'd hear him coming up street every Sunday, like clockwork. Steel-toe cap boots he had, or hobnail boots, whatever they're called. You could hear him thudding up street. And then you'd hear the door go, slamming shut. 10 minutes in, like clockwork, he'd be having a row with his wife. Then there'd be a plate smashing, I'm sure at dinner went up wall. He'd storm out and he'd be in the outside lavvy. Now, their outside lavvy we shared with them next door. It were meant be for both of us, we were meant join at it. But when he stormed out and locked his silent lavvy, he'd be there for a couple of hours, I kid you not. Sunday were worst. If you want go for a pee on a Sunday, you had to do it before Cobden got home. Otherwise, you'd be buggered. You'd never get in. Well, this Sunday, a tragedy happened. Hey, I shouldn't laugh. But it were funny. Looking back, it were funny. Well, Potman come. Now, I don't know if you remember Potman, but he come it were like a milk float with pop. Well, he'd park at top of our street because we were back to back with them across road. So our back street lavvy faced theirs, and our backyard faced theirs, and in between were a cobble road. Well, you couldn't get out up or down that, it was too narrow. And Potman used to park at top at street and he'd shout, "Mineral! Mineral!" And my gran would always come out and say, "Yeah, here's a couple of coppers, go and get yourself a bottle of mineral." And we'd all run out and I'd stand there thinking, what shall I have? Oh, it were like a wonderland of pop. Ben Shaw's it were. Dandelion and burdock, cream soda. I think that come in pink and green. Orangeade, lemonade, Tizer. Oh, lot. You never knew what to choose. Anyway, this Sunday Cobden had that usual row with wife. Dinner had gone up wall and he'd lots his selling lavvy. 10 sheets to windy were, as usual. Well, I hope he were, because what happened next, I wouldn't like him to a sin. Well, Potman that day must have been a stand-in or a new driver, because he didn't know you couldn't get down Cobble Road. And we knew there was something up when he started shouting from Cobble Road. Anyway, we went out to look at Pop, see what were on back at wagon, and he were wedged between two walls. My wall and their wall across road. Well, he would try to move back at and forward, and he couldn't move. Well, he tried every way he could to get that lorry out, but it were jammed between walls. Next thing you knew, what happened? Back wall of our outside lavvy caved in right on top of Cobden. Well, it must have been a shock if he saw that coming. There he were, 10 sheets to wind, pants round his ankles, and wall comes down on top of him and bricks him in. Well, hey, it were quiet after that. But they had to dig him out, you know. We never saw him again. And you know, I never saw his wife shed a tear. But they were gossiping about it for weeks after. When I used to be playing out, my gran used to say to me a lot around that time, "Here, there's a jam butty here, now go and play over yonder. I want to talk to her next door about something that's not for your ears." And I'd be off playing. Oh, we'd play for hours outside, drawing hopscotch on pavement with chalk or old bits of stone. We'd spend hours playing hopscotch and skipping with one at either end at skipping rope and somebody in the middle. Then the bit elastics where you'd stand one at each end with elastics round your ankles and somebody would be jumping in and out. Tig were another one where you'd chase after each other and hit each other on back. Oh, games we used to play then. And two a ball against wall. You never got done then for drawing on pavement. Oh, you get a fine now, but then it used to be where we played. We played hard and laughed hard, and when we weren't doing them games, we were swinging from string on lamppost. Well, rope it were. Climbing trees. My favourite was sliding down dirt tracks on bits of old cardboard or wood. Yeah, many a time I've come home with backside missing out of my clothes, black as Ace of Spades I were. Them were days. They were homely. We had good times and we laughed together, didn't we? You'd be out with your friends from morning till night with just a jam butty to have. You know, another place they used gossip was Tommyfield Market. It were famous, Tommyfield, then. People used to come from miles around to go to Tommyfield. They'd even come in the coach load sometimes for a day out. Aye. Sometimes my gran would get her headscarf on and a coat and she'd say, "Come on, love, we'll go and have a walk round Tommyfield." You could get out you wanted up there. Clothes, vegetables, meat, furniture. Out you want on Tommyfield. And there were always somebody to bump into. But what I liked best about Tommyfield was specials and hot sarsaparilla. Ooh, specials. They were like a big round piece of tater, dipped in batter so they were crispy. And then she'd lap 'em up in newspaper. And my gran would say, "Come on, love, we'll go over there to the outside cafe and we'll get a couple of glasses of hot sarsaparilla." Oh, and it did taste good with chips and specials. You couldn't get them now. It were an acquired taste, sarsaparilla. You could have hot Vimto if you wanted. But I used to like sarsaparilla. And another thing that were homely, what lights shining out at pubs when you were in the middle of a pea super. Sometimes if I were on my way home from school or anywhere, I'd stand on summit and peer through window at Snug and Tap Room, just see what it were like. And I remember tap rooms always had men banging the glasses down on tables and knocking when they were having a game of dominoes. It were always loud in tap room. Used fear me a bit. And then I'd go and have a look through window at Snug and I'd see old ladies looking right posh, sipping on the brandy and the baby sham and the snowballs. And they were always titivated up. And I used to think, when I get older, I'd like to be like those ladies and go in the Snug. Funny how your mind works when you're a child, isn't it? And there were a lady who lived round near us. Well, my gran wouldn't have called her a lady, but I did. She were lovely. She had a lovely figure and her hair were always done right nice. She were pretty. Camille, she were called. She used to wear lovely clips in her hair. And I always wanted to be like her. She always had a kind word for me, Camille. I used to think to myself, when I was staring at her, I'd like to be like Camille when I grow up. And then my gran had caught me staring and she'd come round and give me a clout round there and she'd say, "Hey, don't you be staring at that one, she's a bad un." Drop her knickers for out, she would. Well, I later realised she was a lady of the night, were Camille. And all women were probably feared their husbands would go and pay her a visit. And then there were another woman, what was she called? Betsy. She lived up street and a bit round corner. Oh, she were a hard-looking woman, Betsy. Plump she were, a round woman, I'd call her, with a red face and her hair were always up in a bun. She always wore grey. My gran told me there was somebody up street who got into trouble and had got to Betsy and it were all sorted out, no more to be said. And then in next breath she'd said to me, "I don't want to hear of you going off see Betsy because there'll be hell to pay." Well, I found out again, Betsy, she were backstreet abortionist. Probably the last one round our way. But they were multitasking people in them days. They did things, lots of things. See, Betsy, she got rid of babies and delivered them. She were also known as midwife round our way. They all did things. They had the roles, them men and women. Men's role were to go to work, put food on table, give a skinful in pub and come back and either get friendly with wife or batter her. Loads of people talked about being battered in them days by their husbands. My gran, she told me that her mother had 21 children but they didn't all live. Drink babbies, she called them. Oh, aye, she used to say to me, my mother used to work her fingers to the bone and then my father would come home. After having a skinful, he'd get friendly with her and there'd be another babby on the way. Well, you'd think, wouldn't you, she knew where babbies come from, but she surprised me, my gran, because she told me when she were working in mill herself, she were pregnant and she only found out where babbies come from a woman on the machine next to her. She said, that woman, she said to me, "Well, never mind, Edie, it'll come out where it went in." She said, "I nearly dropped court-legged." She said, "I thought midwife brought babbies in a bag." She said, "Every time my mother had a babby, midwife had come up path with a bag and then babby had come. That's where I thought it come from." Naivety at women then. But there were an innocence, weren't there? Not like now you've got babies having babies. But then you didn't talk about sex or out like that, birds at bees. You got married and you had to make your bed and lie in it and face what were coming. But I'd like to go back one day, just experience Belfast sink and see me gran washing again and hanging clothes up on rack. To see light shining out at pub, through a pea super You don't get many pea soupers now. It's probably a bit healthier, but I miss 'em. I miss what they used to look like when you couldn't see anything in front of you, behind you, or at side. And I'd love to sit round that table. And that Sunday dinner with all the family. Ah, well, you can't go back, can you? You have to move forward with what you've got. But I'll tell you what, I'd rather go back to them times than how they are now. Oh, everything's clinicalised now. Sanitised, clinicalised, health and safety-ised. If a child gets black now, it's a crying shame. It's a mortal sin to get your trainers dirty after your parents paid £100. We had to have hand-me-downs. Some of the shoes I had have been down 3 generations before, and I'm not telling you any lies. Ah, well, I can sit with my memory. We can all dream, can't we, love? Well, I'll be back again with some more tales from north. Ta-ra now, I'll get back to my brew before it goes cold. Ta-ra.